well, here we are. We are in our 1974 Ford Bronco. Three. Sorry, it's a 73. I get the Love and the Bronco confused. Bronco's a 73, the Love is a 74. Nevertheless, we are sitting in our Bronco, and as y'all know, we drive this thing all the time, but we've never driven it across the country. Next week, we're gonna change that. Power Tour is an event that Hot Rod Magazine puts on, and we've done it for a lot of years. In fact, we did it for our honeymoon in 2007, which is crazy. But week after next is Power Tour, and we are going to take our Bronco. She's never been on the tour before, and she's our most solid vehicle right now as far as cross-country driving. Roxy's very solid, but we took Roxy on Power Tour last year, so we want to take something different. We drive this thing all the time, but we don't do a lot of highway driving, so we're gonna take her for a rip on the highway, see about what speeds we're running, see how she feels, and make any notes as to any modifications we might want to make this week before we venture off on thousands of miles across the country in our Bronco. Zip on the highway was quite good. Aaron exceeded what I expected him to drive in this Bronco. 80 plus miles an hour was surprisingly stable. We're contemplating a handful of things, but honestly, the Bronco doesn't need a lot. We're gonna check a bunch of stuff over, but
it could go like this, just the way it is. We've got a rear pinion seal that's been leaking for years. So I think, you know, might as well put one of those in it because I have it on the shelf. It won't take that long. Now we're talking about doing an alignment on it because it's towed in a little bit, but I really like the way it drives. So I think for this trip, we'll probably just rotate the tires, run it like it is. Because on these things, when you get the tow exactly right, they can kind of walk around the road a little bit, and I just don't want to deal with that. We're talking about that, maybe put our radio system in so that we can put our headsets on and actually hear each other, listen to music, take phone calls, stuff like that. Then we've got check all the wheel bearings, check all the fluids, grease everything, because, you know, like the, I don't know what you would call them. I guess they're ball joints on the front, maybe kingpins. They've not had grease in years, so we'll grease the entire drivetrain. The drive shafts have both recently been replaced, so they've got new U-joints. Not worried about that. Then clean up some wiring, maybe just polish the paint a little bit, because she's lived part of this spring and in the early part of summer outside, so we're getting a little bit of crazing on the paint. And then, I don't know, we have a big list. We'll talk about it when we get in the shop.
As you guys know, May was a crazy month for us. We are accustomed to weekly uploads, and in May, I only got one episode out for the whole month. It was very difficult on me. I felt like a failure. But we had a lot going on. We shot a roadkill episode here. We shot a really, really fun future video project that you guys will see with Peak. And we got the coronavirus the last week of May, which was crazy. We absolutely felt horrible, and we had fever, so we went and got tested, and we indeed tested positive. So it took us about a week to get over that. And, you know, I mean, life goes on. We had an appearance at a car show last weekend, and we tested negative before we left to be sure that we were safe. And although we were still zonked from having the virus, we went, got it done. Now we have a week to prep for Power Tour, and then a week on the road, and it's going to be awesome. So overall, the Bronco drives awesome. You know, we did the AOD swap. It's got a Gear Star overdrive AOD transmission in it, and man, like, seeing this thing run 80 was impressive, and that is all due to that overdrive transmission. And Gear Star builds such a killer transmission, so we're so happy to have that thing in this Bronco. So let's go over your list.
All right, so
yeah, it's kind of
this is what I did on the plane yesterday on the way back. We flew in at like midnight last night. Well, that's not true. We got home about 11, I think. So I've got check the wheel bearings and source a spare set for the front and the rear, you know, just in case we need parts on the road. Also, the Dana 44 takes a special tool in the front, so I've got that on my list to throw that in. I don't know how much we want to go through, but oil change, take extra oil. If you guys are thinking about Power Tour, this is the kind of stuff you want to be thinking about. Extra rear end grease, and what I mean by that is like 85-90. And then grease the entire truck. It's got a lot of grease zerks on it, so we'll load up a grease gun, grease everything, and get that going. Talked about the rugged radios earlier. Going to bring extra grease in case somebody else needs like a U-joint greased or something like that. Take jack stands and a jack. We took off the spare tire holder for this truck because originally it had 33s on it, and it's mounted to the body, and the body's got a seam in it, and it's pulling it away, so we took that off. But for this trip, we're going to put it back on, so we've got a spare tire, because chances of finding a 35 on the road that would fit this is not very likely. Battery needs a tie down. We've not done that yet. It's so heavy and there's not much room in there, it doesn't move, but we're going to tie that down, probably with the ratchet strap. Check transfer case. You know, we know it's good, but check the fluid on it. Check the front diff grease. We talked about that pinion seal we're going to do. Biggest concern is we have a 14-gallon fuel tank, and if I were to guess, this is going to get about 10 miles per gallon. So we're going to rig up, but we hope to rig up a jerry can holder on the back bumper that'll like swing out so you can still open the tailgate. Also, this is a 2-tank truck, but because we have a pressurized or an in-tank pump on the main tank, we can't just switch tanks anymore.
With all the modern EFI stuff that we have on.
Right, because it's fuel injected now. So I think what we're going to do is go from the auxiliary tank with like a clicky-clacky pump and just plumb it in, so probably the fill hose, like just put a fitting or something in there, and then just have a switch on it so we can just switch it over and pump fuel out of that one. Check steering. We had an issue with it. It wiggled loose, and that really scares me, so we'll probably take the bolts out, put Loctite on them, tighten them down really good, and I might even tack weld it. Hate to do that. It's a really nice steering shaft, but I can always grind it off later. And then we got a fuel tank leak. So we failed to hook up the vent tube on the top of the tank. So if we fill it all the way to the top, it spills fuel out. So we need to take that, put a hose on it, run it up probably somewhere close to the fuel neck, the fuel cap, I mean. Tighten the belts because they squeal a little bit. Buy spare belts, And the lower radiator hose, I was just under there airing the tires up, and I noticed that it's rubbing on the alternators. So there's probably not a fix for that right now. We can't get a hose for it in time. And so I'll probably cut an old radiator hose and just sleeve it, and then take, you know, a little bit extra with me so we can re-sleeve it on the road if it looks like it's wearing through. That's mostly it. Windshield wiper blades, that's a big one, because they're very old and crunchy and they're not gonna work. But that's what the next week's gonna look like.
So we have 5 days to do all this stuff, and really that's plenty of time. I'm going to be out of pocket tomorrow. I randomly booked a TGI Fridays commercial, and I get to take Roxy, and they want me to like dress in my car girl attire, like baseball cap backwards and like tomboy vibes. So I'm kind of excited about that. So I will be gone all day tomorrow. Aaron will be working on the Bronco. I'll come work on the Bronco with him when I get finished with my booking. But then we'll have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to do all the rest of the stuff. Now, something that I've been really nervous to commit to, but I'm excited about it, is I want to do daily uploads for our prep for this trip, and maybe even daily uploads on Power Tour. I am such a stickler for well-edited content, like long-form content, so I always hesitate to post a short video that's like not super well edited, but I really want to post content for y'all.
I have to install an inverter so she can edit on the road.
Yeah, he's adding that to his list. It's very true, babe. So because I want to have content for you guys, and quickly, I'm going to do my absolute best to post an episode every night from our progress that day and keep you guys in tune with what we're doing, how we're doing, and y'all can give us any tips you have, ideas you have. If you're coming on the tour, we're excited to see you there. We've got a lot of work to do, but it's not crazy big stuff. Like usually we're doing engine swaps and things like that.
It's so much more relaxing this time because none of this has to be done. I mean, it's just stuff we want to do, and it would make us feel better on the road and give us less of a chance of breaking down. Because if we're not broken down, then we can help people that actually are. So it's a lot less stress, but it's still a lot of work to get done. So hopefully you enjoy that process and seeing us prep one for a long trip.
Yeah, let's get to work. All right, the rear diff's getting some attention here.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it, and that bearing's not loose at all, and that seal's not leaking anymore. This was dripping on the ground. I wonder if that was just from sitting, and once we started driving it kind of fixed itself. I don't see a drain plug. I wanted to replace the fluid in this, but I don't see a drain plug, so I really don't want to have to pull like the axles out and then pull this all out. So let's just see if there's anything left in it. We might just top it off and roll with it. Well, I can't fill it in there, so it needs fluid. Maybe that's why it quit leaking. But because I can't drain it, I mean, I don't know. What should we do, Emily? Should we go ahead and replace that seal? I mean, this is not a huge leak. Like, if we just fill it up.
Yeah, it's kind of like something we can keep an eye on and add fluid to if we see it's leaking.
So I guess grab me some fluid and I'll dump it in there.
Okay.
Mark that off the list.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What we'll do is we'll just watch it over the next couple of days, see if it starts to leak again. Did you take the
No. It's still got the... Give it to me here. I can do it for you. You want me to?
Nope, I got it. Cut that too short.
Take the first thing off the list.
Yep.
If you didn't make a mess, did you really do the job? But Finley, you can't go on Power Tour.
I'm sorry. It's too difficult. We just can't do it, buds. I'm sorry.
So we got our ball joints here. You can see this one that's got grease on it has a zert. You go to the top. It's very hard to see, but does not have one. And even if it did, this drive shaft or axle, whatever you want to call it, is too close to it. Go to the driver's side. That one has a cap on it, but again, you can't get to it. this one is broken off. So tomorrow I'll take that tire off, tap that out, put a new grease zerk in it. We'll get those two bottom ones oiled up. Drive shaft, you can see in there, the front drive shaft grease zerk. On the slip joint, one right there, so we'll grease those up. The U-joints in here are very difficult to get to. We may get in there. Back when I used to own Jeeps, I had like a needle, like a long needle we could push in there. We know the U-joints are new, so we probably won't worry with that, but same thing on the back. The double knuckles, very hard to get to. Back one, grease zerk there. And of course there's one on the drive shaft, on the U-joint up here, right there. That'll take care of all the greasing of the truck. Should get us there.
Okie dokie. Aaron checked something off the list. It's my turn. I think I'm going for the oil change. Aaron just ran to the parts store to see if he could find a shorter belt for that alternator. We were going to adjust it because it's squeaking a little, but we didn't want to push it more down into that lower radiator hose. And he was like, hey, if I get a shorter one, maybe we can adjust it up and off the radiator hose. So he ran to the parts store, and he's also going to get me a oil filter. Words. Yes, so when he gets back, I will finish my job, but right now I'm gonna drain the oil out of this here truck. Just making a note, I just took off all my rings before I get to work. Be happy, OSHA. All right. I can never remember what size this is. Oil doesn't look too bad. Sweet. Next opportunity for a mess is replacing that oil filter. And then we'll put some fresh oil in it. Now for the fun part.
Still don't work very well.
Got the play-by-play. Oh wow, that wasn't very tight. Okay.
Probably why it's leaking.
Some of it.
This angle doesn't look like it's under it, but okay.
That might catch some of it. Yeah, it's going in my bucket. Heck yeah. Oh, God. Of course. Okay, we're good. We're good. Cool.
We're gonna take a real good look at those brake lines right there after that.
What did I do? Was that too rough? Where? These?
I'm joking.
Oh, come on. I owned that. It did not own me. Yeah.
Positive self-talk. I read that in a book somewhere.
Yeah, exactly, babe. See? It
That
looks grungy.
It was kind of dirty. I'm surprised.
Get this here lubricated. And time to go back on with it.
Need to get you a rag to get a good grip on it.
All right. Time for fresh oil. All right, we're going to be using some Kindle GT1 Max in a 530 weight. Alrighty, fourth quart going in, and then I'm going to check it. Alrighty, we're going to crank her up and let that oil circulate a little bit. Still needs oil. It's down here. It's not even to the add mark yet. It's still at the add mark, so maybe I'll do a half quart more. Alrighty, I had a half quart. Drop that in, and that will get us up to where we need to be. Perfect operating range to hit the road, clock out a couple thousand miles across the country. All right, awesome. We got some work done today. Alrighty, it was a pretty good start. We got started late today, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon late. We had a busy weekend traveling and catching up, and yeah, anyway, we got some work done today and we got her driven, and now we know what we're working with. And really, she's just freaking awesome. Yeah, you're gonna work on her tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm gonna go do this fun little commercial shoot, and then I'll be back in the shop with you tomorrow evening, and we'll check a little more off the list, and we will see y'all tomorrow.